Mad Max Fury Road. What can I say about this movie that hasn't really been already been said? This movie is just the best freaking movie I've ever seen all year.
You're sitting on 2,000 horsepower of nitro-boosted war machine.
You want to get through this?
You done this before?
Many times.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
I just freaking love Mad Max Fury Road. It's just such an awesome movie, such an awesome action movie. Like, really hasn't been such a great action movie in years. I mean, this year has had some pretty good, surprising action movies. The Kingsman Secret Service, not surprisingly, Age of Ultron was pretty good, especially when it came to the action. But there just hasn't been a good action movie that's not a superhero movie in years. I mean, we have very few movies that I can think about. Like The Dark Knight, the Raid movies, both of them. They're like three action movies. That's it. Everything else is complete shit. This movie's just freaking awesome. This movie stars Tom Hardy, Charlize Theron. Actually, her name's pronounced Charlize Theron. I think I pronounced it correctly, but it's like that. Yeah. Nicholas Hoult, and then some other great, fantastic actors whose names I don't remember. But the guy who played the villain, Imperious Joe or something, was the same villain from Mad Max 1, or at least the same actor who played a villain in Mad Max 1. So yeah, so great. This movie's just fantastic. George Miller really knew what he was doing with this movie, and the weight that he's been, having to deal with since Beyond Thunderdome is well worth it, because this movie's just one of the best movies I've ever seen. Like, seriously. When I saw that the critics were literally, shitting in their pants because this movie was just that great, I knew that this was just going to be a spectacular movie, because it was. It was just a great movie. This movie not only had fantastic practical effects and, great practical stunts and action. Like, there was a time where there was a guy, in the trailer with a guitar that had flames coming out of it. It was like a guitar / flamethrower. That was real. That was an actual guy. It was freaking great. But it was awesome. Besides all of the great action set pieces this movie had, everything was perfect about this action in the movie, and it wasn't, for some reason, it didn't feel like it was too much and there was nothing else. You know why? Because there was more than just the action in this movie. There was these characters that were great. This movie starred Mad Max, but it felt more like it was Furiosa's movie, Charlize Theron's character. Furiosa was great. Max was more like a comedic relief in this movie, because Tom Hardy, sad to say, he doesn't know how to do an Australian accent. It was kind of like, my world is fire. That was all I freaking heard every time he talked, but that was besides the point, because he gave a great performance either way. Even if it was not an Australian accent, and maybe his, he was just funny. He was actually pretty funny a lot of times, and he was just straight up crazy, because there was lots of scenes where he's just mumbling to himself and just kind of blah, 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 and he kind of mumbles things out, and you kind of like, what the hell's going on with this guy? Like, something's wrong with him, and that was really cool. I liked that. But Furiosa really was the main character in this movie. She was just fantastic. I loved her character, and every other character in this movie was also great. Even the small characters that just had a moment in the movie were all so cool. Like, every character was just so interesting. I wanted to know more about them. Even the ones that, Imperious Joe had all these wives. There was just all these women that he had made had to marry him and stuff. And yeah, they were pretty much his sex slaves. They were all great. There was only one that was kind of annoying, and that was because she kept doing the thing where she had what's it called, Stockholm Syndrome, and it sounds kind of insensitive when I say it like that, but yeah, it's kind of annoying, but it's true. He did consult a woman who had gone through sex, being a sex slave and stuff, and it kind of showed in this movie how women would react in different ways. and it was really great because it just made this movie, you know, just so much better by making these female characters human instead of just these plot devices or just for sex appeal. They were just really cool and human, and I liked them all. They were all so great, and that's really what shines in a movie, because Hollywood just doesn't know how to make a freaking female character. Very few directors and writers who I know how to make a female character, because seriously, it's not that hard to just make them human. You know? To make them characters that we care about and not just these plot devices. Is it so hard to make a character that we can believe in? It doesn't matter what's between their fucking legs. Like, they can still be great. Like, God, it just pisses me off. Anyway, Mad Max is a movie you have to see. If you miss it, you're going to be punching yourself in the stomach, in the nose, and other places. I don't know. Either way, this movie was just so great, and people really have to check it out because it's such a great movie, such a good movie, like just so good, so good. The music in this movie really blew my mind. Like, I just loved it. Like, I downloaded the soundtrack immediately after the movie. I'm like, okay, getting the soundtrack, and I did, and I've been listening to it nonstop. The music is done by Junkie XL, and I don't know his real name, but I know it starts with his first name is Tom, and then some really complicated ass last name. But he's so good. He was so good, and this music was just so good. And he also is doing music for Batman in Batman v Superman, so we have that to look forward to. But I love the soundtrack in this movie. The sound of it is just so great. The sound design too. I just love everything about this movie. Even I looked at the B-roll and stuff, and it's just amazing how this movie's done. It's just fantastic. I just loved this movie, and I want to watch it like 8 times and then buy it in the Blu-ray like 12 times. And it's just such a great movie. I really want George Miller to keep making more of these movies. So, such a good movie. Its first weekend, it's made like $100 million worldwide, so that's a good sign, especially for an R-rated movie. It's a really good sign. So yeah, really check out Mad Max Fury Road, because this movie is so good, so freaking good. Just watch it, because it's so freaking awesome. Like, rah! That's the movie.
Out here, everything hurts. You want to get through this? Do as I say. Now pick up what you can and run.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
What's your name?
Hello and welcome to the 172nd
sequel to
Avengers Age of Ultron review on YouTube.
It stars Jason Sudeikis,
really
Jason Bateman, and Charlie Day.
Hi, I'm Robert.